We are reading from the Yogasutras. This is our Yoga-sutra online class number 14. We are studying aphorism number 32 onwards of the first chapter. Now, today's topic is mostly concerned with Prāṇāyāma. Though in the beginning we will take up two earlier aphorisms which are connected with purification of the mind and cleaning the obstacles from the path of our samadhis. In our last class, we have learnt about the distractions in the path of our concentration. We studied 9 main obstructions and 4 subsidiaries of them. When we are living with others in a family or in a society or in a group, we have to be careful about 2 obstacles we have already seen. The obstacle number 1 that are created by outsiders, and obstacle number 2, very unfortunately though, that we have to be careful more about obstacles created by the insiders who you are working with. But when we are living alone, then we have to be more careful about our own self. Those 13 obstacles are nearest and just within us. Now the Yogasutras is telling us what the simplest and the most single effective method is that can be practiced to remove the obstacles or to overcome the effects of those obstacles. Of course, it is not something very, very new to us that is being prescribed. Let us read the next aphorism number 32. Tat pratishedhartham ekatatvabhyasaha. The meaning is, to remedy this, the practice of one subject has been recommended. The idea of the practice of one subject is very important here. It is the way prescribed in the form of abhyasa and vairagya, which we have already seen. Abhyasa means practice and vairagya means practicing how to differentiate between what is good for us and what is not so. We are familiar with these words, abhyasa and vairagya. So, abhyasa means practice and vairagya, we should remember, means practice of our freedom. We start practicing from the very beginning. It won't look to be exactly like 100% freedom. But the more we detach ourselves from what binds us, the more we are getting the freedom that we are striving for. This is the first method to attain samadhi as taught by the Yogasutras we have already learned. Now we are in the first alternative to the first method, that is Ishvara Pranidhana or meditation or God, surrender to God, love of God, that is Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya is a word which means detachment, which seems to suggest some negative meaning also. Actually, this is a word which is so dear to any individual's heart. Believe it or not, it is very dear to the heart of every one of us. Vairagya actually means the practice of living free. What is freedom? Freedom means freedom. We want to remain free from others' obligations. And also we want others to remain free from our obligations. This part we have to understand. We generally think freedom means we are free from others' control. But the same we may not be happy to allow others remain free from our control. This is a big trick in this. I should not be held by others. That is my free will. That is my desire to remain free. And the other part of this freedom is that I should not, in my turn, hold others. I want to be free, and I should also see that I do not make others bound. Both of these types of holding are called abstractions because they generate abstractions. When you are free from them both, then only you are completely free. Otherwise not. I may tell others not to hold me, that is my right. But similarly I should tell myself not to make others subordinate to me, to hold on to me, or to remain dependent on me always. This freedom has to be practiced in the midst of myriads of bondages, innumerable binding relations. We have to practice this freedom. Otherwise we just cannot lift ourselves up above the world and remain free there. We have to be in this world among numerous binding relations and myriads of bondages, and still we have to practice this freedom. That is what I said. It is called living free. When one enjoys freedom in the midst of or in spite of binding duties, when one enjoys freedom in spite of binding duties and in the midst of binding duties, one is already free. If we can derive the joys of freedom in the midst of all our binding relations, duties and possessions, then it is sure that we are free in the complete sense of the term. This is called Jivan Mukti by the scriptures. Oh, how much we want this freedom here and now. The practice of concentration on one object helps us to get rid of the obstacles. What could be this one object? The answer is either God or our own divine inner self. Take up any one of these two and practice this one-pointed concentration, or the concentration that is directed to one and one object alone. The work that we do for the good of others, or ritualistic devotion including prayer, etc., are not recommended actually. They are helpful to maintain the mood and atmosphere, but the main idea is to concentrate on the divine Ishvara or on our divine self, which is called meditation. If Maharshi Patanjali wanted to mean meditation on only the God of yoga or Ishvara, then he would not have used the general phrase Eka Tattva or one object. So one object means one of the two chosen ideals Ishvara or God, and the indwelling self. It is reasonable because we are talking about the easier alternatives to samadhi. Swami Vivekananda makes a wonderful observation. He said that making the mind take the form of one object for some time will destroy these obstacles. This is general advice. In the following aphorisms, it will be expanded and particularized. As one practice cannot suit everyone, various methods will be advanced, and everyone by actual experience will find out that which helps him or her the most. Now the practical question will be how to clean the mind or chitta so that this one-pointed concentration is achieved. We try, but we fail many times. So the next aphorism is dealing with this question. How to prepare the mind for ekatattva abhyasa, or concentrating on one subject or one-pointed concentration on a subject. So the next aphorism is aphorism number 33. Maitri karuna mudita upekshanam sukha dukkha punya punya vishayanam bhavanatah chitta prasadanam. It says Maitri means friendship. Karuna, being thought of in regard to Karuna means actually directly Karuna means mercy, compassion. Mudita means happiness, gladness. Upekshanam, indifference. Sukha dukkha punya punya vishayanam, being thought of in regard to subjects, happy, unhappy, good and evil respectively. Sukha dukkha punya punya vishayanam. Bhavanata, being thought of. Chitta prasadanam, pacifying the chitta, the mind stuff. They help us to gather the mind. It is a great psychological training, even though it is difficult to practice. This aphorism is teaching us how to come out of our two boxes which represent a pair of opposites. One box has all good in it and another box has everything bad in it. So when we divide things, we throw one into this, another into that. This idea originates from the idea of eternal heaven or eternal condemnation or eternal hell. Either eternal heaven or eternal hell. The ultimate outcome of the two boxes is nothing but continuous stress on our single mind, which has created these two boxes within itself. Mind is one. It cannot divide itself into two opposing parts without creating confusion in it. Mind is one. It cannot divide itself into two opposing parts, contradictory parts, without creating confusion within itself. There is a tug of war always going on. The Yogasutras presented them not in one pair but in two pairs and advise us one solution. It is one solution which is all positive. There is nothing negative in this. This solution is called an attitudinal change in our attitude, or change in the frame of our mind or change in our outlook. This is the only solution. Suppose we use two sets of boxes. Now two sets of boxes. Happy and unhappy, righteous or virtuous or say good, and evil, unrighteous, immoral, bad, anything you may call. What was our original question? How to clean the mind from the distractions, right? The answer is changing the attitude. Again, the question will be how to change the attitude. Then revered Patanjali says, number 1, when you have to transact with those who are happy, try to feel their happiness and be happy. That is the meaning of the first word, Maitri. Practice Maitri or friendship. That means to be happy like you feel when you think of your friend. You may say, we all know that. That is natural for us. We know that when our friends are happy, we are naturally happy. Even when we think of our friends, just think of our friends, we feel happy. True. But Patanjali, a great compassionate teacher as he was, does not mean to say that. He says, fine, now use your experience of being happy with your friend's happiness or being happy with your known people's happiness. So use this experience while dealing with people who you do not like, who you hate, whom you do not know. So you have to be happy in their happiness. It is normal to be happy in your friend's happiness. But can you be happy when those people who you do not like, who you hate, who you do not know are happy? Practice that. One of my own personal experiences was an eye-opener. Let me share it with you. We bought our house in Berlin to set up an ashrama here. It is in a purely residential area. That was in 2013. We came here in the June of that year. During Christmas that year, we decorated our house and trees with light bulbs and also set up a tree of tiny light bulbs, a tree of light bulbs on our terrace. But our next door neighbors, who I believe are Christians, did not decorate their houses very much like some other houses along the street who are not Christians. One day these neighbors asked me, "You are not Christians, then why do you decorate your house for Christmas?" I said, "We normally do that. When you are all happy during this time of the year and you are decorating your houses with lights, etc., we also feel happy to join you in your happiness. Why can't we be happy when you are happy? We don't care what religion you belong to. We just care that you are happy. So we feel also happy, we join in your happiness." The neighbors were so impressed that from that year onwards, they too started following our example of decorating their houses with lights, etc. Before that, they never did. And every time they go on increasing the number of lights and the colors. So this is how happiness, maitri, friendship should be practiced. With all. Not only with our friends, but it has to be practiced with all. That is the meaning of the word friendship. then only you can come out of the two boxes and make your mind stress-free. Living in two boxes lifelong is a kind of mental and spiritual stagnation and imprisonment. Coming out of this and making oneself free is the need for a spiritual seeker. Then number 2, he uses the word, Patanjali uses the word compassion, karuna. When we transact with the unhappy people, we need to practice compassion or understanding. It is seen that some people care for others and give away some portion of their income to direct or indirect charity to help others. The main understanding behind this charity is that we want to gather some merits or punyam for our future life or afterlife. Charity is good, but the change in our attitude that the Yogasutras is teaching here is feel the suffering of the unhappy people and react to that from that feeling. You need not take care of your spiritual gain in afterlife. The feeling of suffering of others will take care of your afterlife. This by itself is a spiritual act, because all living beings are nothing but the divine spirit as you have in you. That divine spirit is residing in a living body. Well, there is a poem, of course it is still there, Abu Ben Adhem, written by Leigh Hunt, a key figure of the Romantic movement in England in those days. The poem focuses on an event in the life of the Sufi saint Ibrahim bin Adhem, that is anglicized to Abu Ben Adhem as it always does. The story goes like this. Ben Adhem encounters an angel who was preparing a list of those who love God. She was preparing a list of those who love God. And Ben Adhem's name was not there on the list. The angel asked how Ben Adhem wanted to be recognized. To this question, Ben Adhem said that he wanted to be recognized as one who loved his fellow men. The next night, the angel returns with a new list of those who are blessed by God. And now, Ben Adhem's name was at the top of the list. The story tells or teaches that God favors those who love their fellow human beings. Then the third one, mudita. When we transact with righteous or good people, we should feel happy. That is called mudita. And be proud of their happiness and proudness. The company of good people is very impressive and infectious. So they recommend satsang. This is perhaps the most potent of the things that would help us to remove our obstacles. In this practice of satsang, we see that we are journeying together. We are not alone, we are journeying together. That creates a huge effect, huge power. Then finally, when we transact with bad people, our initial reaction is to be angry, to start ridiculing, to highlight their sins, etc. That shows that we too behave like a bad person. These habits have very lasting and bad effect on our own mind. Upekshanam, upeksha, indifference. This has been taught here. Swami Vivekananda said that these attitudes of the mind towards the different subjects that come before it will make the mind peaceful. Most of our difficulties in our daily lives come from being unable to hold our minds in this way. For instance, if a man does evil to us, instantly we want to react in the evil way. And every reaction of evil shows that we are not able to hold our mind under our own control. It comes out in waves towards the object and we lose our power. Every reaction in the form of hatred or evil is so much loss of the mind. And every evil thought or deed of hatred or any thought of reaction in this way, if it is controlled, will be laid in our favor. It is not that we lose by thus restraining ourselves. We are gaining infinitely more than we suspect. Each time we suppress hatred or a feeling of anger, it is so much good energy stored up in our favor. That piece of energy will be converted into the higher powers. It is understood that we need to remove the obstacles of the mind to attain concentration. But then, you have asked us to train ourselves with some difficult practices. The practices you are advising are like we should not feel jealous or envious of others' happiness, or rather we should feel good and be joyful when we see that others are happy. This is not so easy to practice. Again, you have asked us to be indifferent to those who do immoral things. This is also difficult to practice. We need to react. We need to criticize. We need to ridicule. It is very difficult to practice indifference. What to do? Well, all the answers are up to me. All the answers are up to us. Do you know that song? It was written by Albert Hammond and the John Bettis. I think it was sung during the inauguration of the Seoul Olympic. And it was sung by the legendary Whitney Houston. In part it goes like this: when I am more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me, give me one moment in time. When I am racing with destiny, then in that one moment of time, I will feel eternity. Yoga is talking about the development of a bound soul that is restlessly trying to reach the freedom. Yoga is not denying our defects like hatred, jealousy, etc., and also our right to correct the wrongs. The first question will be, am I free from blemishes? The questions are all up to me. Am I free from blemishes, free from imperfections, free from faults myself? If the answer is no, then the way is to follow the yoga advice. In most of the cases, the answer is no. The Bible narrates a memorable incident. It occurs in the Gospel of John. Some people brought a woman to Jesus and said, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. In our law, Moses commanded that such a woman must be stoned to death. Now what do you say?" Jesus understood the whole situation. Then he said those immortal sentences, or only one sentence. Let he who is without sin, let he who is without sin throw the first stone. This show of self-righteousness is an eternal defect in the human soul. Of course, we want to be righteous, want to be free from sins. We want to be virtuous or simply good. So we need to practice the disciplines meant for being good, making us good. But the vanity or pride of self-righteousness stands in the way of our being free from imperfections. The same meaning can be found in the incident in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. There were two devotees of his, Ramachandra Datta, who was a doctor, and Girish Chandra Ghosh, who was a bohemian dramatist. Once someone told Sri Ramakrishna that both of them started giving publicity that Sri Ramakrishna was an incarnation of God. It displeased Sri Ramakrishna. He commented, one is a doctor and another is a dramatist. What do they know about an avatar, an incarnation of God? It may be just one day before the death that Swami Vivekananda said, before his death, if there would be another Vivekananda, he would then know what this Vivekananda has done. If we understand that it is not so easy to get rid of some of our mental defects or deficiencies or even difficulties, then what should we do? The Yogasutras answer this question with the next aphorism. The mistakes committed by our physical body can be made good by practicing physical austerities like fasting. Not feasting, but fasting. If we commit mistake with our words, we need to do silent japa or repetitions of our mantra to correct that. And the mistake committed mentally can be resolved by Prāṇāyāma, and that is the second of the 7 alternatives. Let me repeat these 3 remedial measures. The mistakes that are committed by our physical body, they can be corrected by practicing physical austerities like practice or life keeping awake and doing spiritual things. If the mistakes are committed by words, then we have to do silent japa or repetition of mantra. And if the mistakes are committed by mind, then we have to practice Prāṇāyāma. These are the words of the great commentators. And therefore, we begin with the second of the 7 alternatives. Prachardana vidharanabhyam va pranasya. Va means or means alternative, alternately. Alternative. By throwing out air from the lungs and restraining the breath. Prachardana means throwing out air, means breathing out, and vidharana means restraining the breath. And that is the whole of Prāṇāyāma, and that is there in this source book. It is the second alternative after the surrendering to God. We need to understand this second alternative properly. 3 words have been used in this aphorism: Prachardana, Vidharana and Prāṇa. Prachardana literally means throwing out, breathing out. Here the meaning is breathing out inside air by both the nostrils with special effort or care. This is exact translation of a sentence written by the commentator in Sanskrit. The meaning here is breathing out inside impure air by both the nostrils with special effort or care. The aphorism says we have to breathe out. We have to breathe out. The first thing it says, we have to breathe out. Not breathe in. See, be careful about this original structure of pranayama. The aphorism itself says, number one, we have to breathe out. Number two, we have to breathe out by both the nostrils. And number three, we have to breathe out with special care. It is not a joke. These are the basic texts. So we have to know them very clearly. There is no question of breathing in here. There is no question of breathing out with one nostril. That is why I am stressing the points. Now, vidharana literally means, the second word, vidharana, means, this word actually means pranayama. Vidharana literally means pranayama, or another meaning is kumbhaka, means restraining the breath. We are so familiar with the word pranayama. By this word, we generally understand that the process of breathing, like breathing in air first, then blocking the air inside, and then breathing out. Or if there is a 4-step pranayama, then breathing in, holding back, breathing out, holding back outside. Holding back inside, holding back outside, and breathing in, breathing out. They are 4-step pranayama, one round. We have also associated counting some numbers with breathing out, breathing in, holding back. Some numbers we have created. Chanting some mantras mentally while breathing out, in, etc. Thinking some thoughts, etc. When we are using the word pranayama, we have associated all these things. The Yogasutras is the source of this pranayama. That is why what it says here is to be taken seriously. Vidharana means pranayama. What is the meaning of the word pranayama? In Sanskrit, this word is a combination of two words, prana plus āyama. Number 3 part, that is the word prana. Prana means the vital force that can be associated with breathing. Prana means the vital force that can be associated with our breathing. Like for instance, when we go into deep sleep, the physical body practically becomes unconscious. Then the pranas or vital forces which are associated with air take over the maintenance of the unconscious body. You cannot breathe in, breathe out with efforts. It has to be effortless. Prana has 5 divisions depending on its functions at 5 parts of the body. They have been given 5 names depending on their area of activity inside the body. Prana, apana, vyana, udana and samana. Pranapana, vyanodana, samanaha. So prana is the first second apana, third vyana, fourth udana, fifth samana. Prana force is manifested as air at the location of our nose. The prana force, the first name or part of the whole prana, is prana force which manifests itself as air in the tip of or on the location of our nose. Apana force is manifested as air at the location of the lowest openings of our body. Vyana force is manifested as air maintaining the harmony all over the body. Udana force is manifested at the throat, and samana force is manifested as air taking care of the nutrition and heating of our body. Those who are medical doctors, you all know that these are so clear in your medicine and medical science. Now we have learned that vidharana means pranayama, prana plus āyama. So we know what prana is already. We have looked into the word prana, and then what is āyama? Āyama means rest or comfort. So pranayama means the effort to keep the pranas harmonious and at peace, at rest. Pranayama means our special effort to harmoniously use the vital forces that are working at different parts of the body. Clear? We do pranayama to give rest and peace and harmony to the different parts of the pranas, the 5 parts of the pranas. So it brings about harmony in the whole body. Now let us understand what the aphorism said about the spatial process. I said that it spoke about a spatial process, or I should call it unusual process to practice it. I am calling it unusual process because the aphorism has spoken about 2 steps of this pranayama, on which the big edifice of vipassana and the likes have been built. I am not going into details of the uncountable varieties of the prāṇāyāmas that are being taught and practiced throughout the world. They are good and they have their benefits. What I am trying to look into is, there are only 2 steps that have been spoken of here in the source of all pranayāmas. Only 2. Breathing out the air from inside and resting. Vidharana means resting, giving comfort to the pranas. You may call them by their Sanskrit names, Rechaka and Kumbhaka. Rechaka means throwing out air from inside by a spatial process. I will be speaking about that process. And then most significantly, Kumbhaka here means holding the air outside, not inside. After you have breathed out, you stop breathing. Breathing in or breathing out. Stop. Again, here Kumbhaka means after emptying the lungs, one has to remain quiet without breathing. So you have to breathe out and then do Kumbhaka outside. Clear? This is the general meaning we have got from this aphorism. Generally, we are taught to do pranayama in 3 steps. First, breathe in, called puraka, then hold the air inside for some time, called kumbhaka, And numbers or Omkara Japa, all these things are associated with all these steps. And number 3, then breathe out, it is called Rechaka. Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. Breathing in and holding back and breathing out. These 3 steps together are called one round. Now if we take Patanjali seriously, we have to reconstruct the pranayama like the first step is to breathe out Rechaka. The second step is to hold your breath outside called Kumbhaka, and then breathe in called Puraka, and then hold your breath inside, again Kumbhaka inside. Now in this new construction we have one round which has 4 steps. This is actually a round like a circle. I will not proceed further with the discussion of the technicalities of the pranayama. We are discussing this aphorism in order to know how this alternative helps us in realizing our own self as it is. That is the purpose of our study of the Yogasutras. And the Prāṇāyāma, this is just one aphorism in the whole book. The mind can be transformed by the process of Prāṇāyāma also, which is mentioned here. And what did we say in the beginning? That the faults, mistakes committed by our mind can be corrected by the practice of Prāṇāyāma. So this mind can be transformed by the process of Prāṇāyāma, that is mentioned here. The commentary is very clear that for our spiritual purpose, we do not need to consider the steps called Puraka or breathing in and inside Kumbhaka holding the air inside. They are of no consequences in respect of our practicing spirituality. Okay? To remove obstacles from our path. Now we will see how these 2 steps help us in our spiritual pursuit. Number 1, if we want to quieten the mind, then mere breathing exercise will not help. We have to connect the mind to an object or to make the mind free from changeful vrittis or thoughts. If there is no single object, eka tattva abhyasa, that was the earlier aphorism. If we are not concentrated on a single object, then each and every thought is appearing with different colors. So to give them one single color, we have to practice concentration on one object, be it God or your own self. That means we have to do pranayama together with meditation. This is number 1 instruction. Number 2, we spoke about a special care. When we are doing the rechaka or throwing out air, we have to do it with special care. That's what we have said. Not I, but the Yogasutras, the aphorism itself said like that. This special effort contains 3 instructions. Number 1, one needs to do the breathing out slowly or for a longer time. Slowly or for a longer time. Both of these mean that the restlessness will be slowed down. Means your frequencies will come down and your wavelength will increase. The frequency of the mind or repetition of thoughts will get reduced or the wavelength will be increased if you understand the language of science. Then number 2, the body has to be quiet and relaxed at that time. The body, the chest, these two portions, at least particularly the chest, should remain quiet and relaxed. Number 3, one has to keep the mind free from modifications or changes of vrittis or thoughts. When we have understood this process, we need to start with breathing out. When we are breathing out, we should always be informed about this process, and we start breathing out slowly or for a longer time. That is the special care one has to take. Then number 3, thereafter one should remain quiet and relaxed without breathing. This is called Prāṇāyāma, Vidharana or Prāṇāyāma. This is called resting the prana. There is no mention of breathing in before or after Kumbhaka. Breathing in before or after Kumbhaka. You breathe out, then breathe in, or breathe out and hold back and then breathe in. Nothing is mentioned. Breathing is not at all mentioned, because that breathing in occurs normally without any special effort. One has to remain in the same state of controlled vrittis. The scriptures use a word in Sanskrit, shunyavat. The mind should be like an empty mind. This emptiness means no change should occur in the mind during this time of Vidharana or Prāṇāyāma or Kumbhaka. This is the third instruction. The fourth instruction is, the aim of Prāṇāyāma is to detach the flow of thoughts relating to the body. To detach the mind from the flow of thoughts relating to the body and then attach it to the Atman inside. That is the aim of Prāṇāyāma. This has to be done during Rechana or breathing out, Rechaka. Puraka or breathing in has no role to play in this process. Breathing in has no role to play in this process. That should happen normally, automatically. But we should have to give attention to breathing out and holding our breath without breathing for some times. So, Rechaka and Kumbhaka, these are the two more important things, most important things. Hence, the process of breathing in after or before the Kumbhaka has not been mentioned. This we have to remember. Then the fifth one is the Prāṇāyāma. The Prāṇāyāma mentioned in this aphorism has to be done in the following manner. At first, the whole body, including the chest, should remain steady or unmoved. Then one has to move the belly, that is, deflate the belly while breathing out, throwing out air. One has to breathe out slowly and for a long time. This practice leads one to the feeling of peace or lightness throughout the body. That is what is called bringing in harmony inside the body. Then number 6, this practice will become automatic and one does not need to be attentive about the 2 steps, and also normal breathing in will happen automatically. The clue is one has to practice this breathing out and holding back our breath outside very slowly and finally for a long time. then the practitioner's chitta, or the mind, will achieve steadiness, which will lead to gradual samadhi. It also indicates that after the first breathing out, one can breathe in slowly and then do this kumbhaka or hold the breath inside. This is some assumption we can make from the narrations about pranayama. So these are the 6 instructions about pranayama given by the Yoga Sutra and its commentators. And we have to remember always that we are studying the Yoga Sutras, which is a scripture. It is meant for our individual freedom or liberation from bondage of suffering through repeated rebirths and rebirths. Over the years, people have disregarded this central value of this book and reduced it to physical science. Well, I would say that there is no harm in doing so if we know that physical science, like in respect of physical yogasana or pranayama or even meditation, have their direction turned towards achieving spiritual freedom. So I will stop here today. We have come to the end of our time. We will go a bit further with this pranayama later on in our next class. But it is a wonderful and very interesting subject and very helpful.